let's check in with America's lawyer, the host of Ring of Fire Radio, ringofireradio.com, the website, Mike Papantonio. Hey, Pap, it's been a while. How you doing?
Tom, Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday. How about that?
Well, thank you. All of the above back to you and your family as well. It's great to see you.
Thanks.
So you have successfully sued both DuPont and Dow, if my recollection is correct, and both of these companies now want to merge. What's going on?
Well, the DuPont is the one I've gone after the most, but what's happening here is a merger between two of the largest corporate criminals probably in American history. Dow and DuPont have collectively been fined or sued for more than any other company operating in the United States. On top of that, they control about 17% of all the global pesticides and 40% of soy and corn production. So they basically run this food supply for the industrialized world, Tom. And the merger is going to give them unprecedented power over our way of life, and it's going to allow them to get away with even more criminal activity that we've seen over these last few decades.
I understand the woman. I'm sorry, my apologies for not remembering her name. I read the story yesterday, but it was the first time I discovered who exactly it was. But the woman who's in charge of antitrust oversight currently in the Obama administration used to work for a law firm that did corporate mergers. And,
that's right.
Yeah. So is this a revolving door problem? Is the Obama administration going to take this seriously? Is there any way to block this?
Well, under normal circumstances, you could block it, but it's the same kind of problem. They're going to have really a tough time going on it. But as we learn more, I guess 3 days ago I would have said that this would never succeed. But the more we're learning about their tentacles being involved in SEC, DOJ, it's almost beyond belief. And the reason they've packed the house with so many of their people is we've seen crimes ranging from fixing tax evasion cases to environmental destruction, price fixing, OSHA violations, discrimination of every kind, and really poisoning entire cities with their toxic waste. And the short list of crimes that these two have committed in the 90s, you had DuPont was hit with hundreds of lawsuits after a wave of reports that one of its fungicides was causing widespread environmental damage. The company had to take the product off the market. They paid about $500 million and were fined really nothing. It was $115 million, and that's about what they made every month doing this. But it was the same story. So your point being, yes, when you plant industry people in these jobs that are supposed to keep these people honest, things fall apart. And unfortunately, this administration has been the worst. Whether it's the SEC, whether it's the DOJ, whether it's FCC, this administration has been horrible, even worse, listen to this, even worse than George Bush. Now, so
in terms of putting in people in the revolving door kind of thing.
Yes. And here you got a company that's been responsible. DuPont's been responsible for more toxic waste dumping than any other company that was assessed in the 1980s. They were fined, I think the number is $1.9 million for dumping corrosive acids into drinking water. So this goes on and on. The last time I went to trial with them, they were caught for dumping C8, which is a fluorocarbon, into the Ohio River, and it ended up in people's drinking water, and thousands of people ended up with cancer. So we tried the first test case already. The jury came back with $1.6 million immediately. They've got about 3,000 of those cases ahead of them. So this merger, you can bet, has something to do with their concern about what's ahead in the way of litigation. Tom, an interesting point. This is a point the media is not talking about at all. They're trying to do this to create this new mechanism. When a corporation like DuPont kills people, or they make people sick, or they're caught by the thousands, their idea is to borrow from the asbestos industry and say, well, we're going to regroup. We're going to call ourselves something different. We're going to dress ourselves up, and nobody's going to be able to find the money. So this is one of those, this is what's happening.
So this is like Halliburton buying Dresser Industries when Dresser Industries had that huge asbestos liability. And Dick Cheney, as CEO of Halliburton, said, oh, let's just merge.
That's exactly correct. So this is the new way of doing business. Kill people, obliterate the environment. After you've done that, externalize all those health risks to people, externalize all the death, externalize all the cost to clean up, and then hopefully a federal judge down the road will say that this new entity is protected. That's what's at stake here. This isn't just about the DuPont Dow Corning merger. This goes far beyond. This is simply a way for corporate criminals to create crimes and then protect themselves from the consequences.
What can we do about this, Mike?
Well, one thing is, it's amazing to me that people just are so unaware of what's happening to them.
Well, it's not reported in the corporate media.
No, it's not.
In fact, they probably have interlocking boards with members of the boards of directors of the big networks.
Well, of course.
Go over to theyrule.net. You can find that out.
Well, what's happening is, of course, corporate media is merely an extension of Wall Street. ABC, CBS, NBC, they're simply, if people have problems visualizing this, but they're really no different from Wall Street. There's no, when we look at their conduct, it's no different from J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs. Expect the same from corporate media. There are no news departments to tell these stories. They're not complicated stories, but they simply aren't told. This is how banks, for example, are completely stealing from people with mortgages. And then once they're caught, they simply spin into something else, and the people are left without a home. The money's already been paid, it's been spent, it's disappeared, and nobody can find it. Same thing happens in the pharmaceutical industry. You kill people with pills, and then all of a sudden your subsidiary disappears into something else. And so it's really a free pass to kill people and make big profits in the process, and then not be responsible. That's all this is. But you're not going to get any help from this Obama administration. I can promise you that. DOJ is not even going to look into why they're doing this, why they're having so many spin-off companies. But it's all about avoiding not just this case, but avoiding shareholder derivative cases that are coming out of the C8 case up in Ohio. But there's 3,500 people up there, Tom, okay? Mm-hmm. The first case we tried was the weakest case. It's the case that DuPont picked. They thought they could win it, but the jury came back with $1.6 million. That's a problem because there's 3,500 cases behind it. And so they understand, they see the writing on the wall, and they're simply trying to maneuver.
This is amazing. I just went to theyrule.net, and I'm not sure how updated their database is, but you can compare companies for boards of directors. And I plugged in Comcast and Dow Chemical, and they've got this fine connection thing. Comcast has a board member, Judith Rodin, who is also on the board of Citigroup. Dow Chemical has a board member, Andrew Leveris, who is on the board of Citigroup. So Citigroup is the connection between Comcast and Dow Chemical. Comcast, of course, owns NBC. And I haven't even started to look at the DuPont or the companies that own ABC or NBC or CNN, for that matter, or Fox.
I'm gonna be taking Discovery on this. I'm gonna have these fat cats on the table across from me, and they're going to have some explaining to do. So this is not going to be easy for them. They felt like they were horrified when they lost. It was only $1.6 million verdict, which is a reasonably small verdict in relation to what we typically do. But the problem, they were so horrified by it is they know they have all these cases behind it. They have governmental entities that can sue them for God knows how many things. I have never, honestly, Tom, I've never seen more damaging documents from a company than I saw from DuPont. And we're continuing to find new documents every day.
Amazing stuff. America's lawyer, Mike Papantonio, host of Ring of Fire Radio. Hang on just a second here.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And that's at ringofireradio.com. Pap, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Tom.
Great talking with you. We'll be right back.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.